All right, let's get started. This is the February 24th, 2015 hearings before the Baltimore City Municipal and Zoning Appeals Board. We welcome you here. Before we start today's docket, we've got a few preliminary matters. The first of which is these proceedings are being recorded and actually it's being broadcast live on one of the city TV channels. So we would ask you to turn off any cell phones or buzzers, whatever else you have that makes noise, and that they disrupt the microphones that you see in front of us. As you come up, you'll see the larger microphones. You can speak into those, but the smaller microphones are the microphones that are actually used by the court reporter. So we ask you to not cover those with papers. When I call your case, I'll ask you to come up. The appellant will be to my left, and the opposition party will be to my right. The procedure that will follow today is the appellant will state their case. The opposition will then have a chance to state their case, and we'll finish up with the appellant making a summary of their case and responding to anything that the opposition may have said. We will reach a decision today. Generally, we reach a decision at the end of the day on cases that we hear. So if you'd like to stick around, you can be here for our deliberations. If not, you can call the city tomorrow morning, and I'll give you the number in a second, and find out our decision. And that number is 410-396-4301. And I'll read that again, 410-396-4301. We've got a couple of we have one postponement, which is 2015-13, 200 East University Parkway. That case has been postponed. If anyone is here for that case, we'll let you know when it comes back on the docket. We've also had a request for a postponement, and I'll call this case. I ask you to come up. It's 2014-538, rear of 2213 to 15 East Pratt Street. How are you?
Mr. Chairman, Fred Lauer representing Todd Vaughn. Mr. Vaughn would like to postpone this matter. There are 4 members here today, and we request to postpone until full board is present.
Okay.
I guess, Your Honor, David Silver, I'm representing Jeff Old. There's been great opposition to this in the community. If I speak to people that are here, voice your opposition, please stand. All these people have taken off work, Your Honor, to be here today. This is the second time this matter has been in. And we would really wish it to be heard today. There's a concern that your individuals will not be able to be present in the future.
We're going to grant Mr. Lauer's request for a postponement, but I will say, Mr. Lauer, this is the last bite at the postponement apple for this case.
I understand,
when,
Mr. Chairman.
When it comes back, we will hear this case.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next case we're going to call is 2015-27, 829 Montpelier Street.
There's really no opposition, but,
Well, let's get everybody up and we'll get them sworn
Yeah.
in.
where's your friends? Oh, here they come. You're over it. We're here, you're there, but it's just the way it is.
And
Yeah.
this is a case to retain approximately 90 linear feet of 6-foot-high fence and shade structure. Let's get everybody sworn in. I understand that there's a resolution.
Yes, we do have a resolution, but we also have comments.
Let's get everybody sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Great. And are you Mr. Black?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Can you tell us where we are with this case? Or do you want Councilwoman?
Want me to try?
Sure.
Some time ago now, at the Waverly Family Center in Better Waverly, we woke up to find a 6-foot tall fence. This is not legal in the zoning district, which I believe is R7. You can only have a 3.5-foot fence on the street side yard of a property. We met with the Waverly Center director, who is here today, and the Goodwill representative, because Goodwill Industries actually owns the Waverly Family Center and is the operational director. And we came to an agreement that somehow the fence was put up without a permit, and that was in error. And then we did agree at that meeting that since the reason for the fence is a program for children, babies, that requires at least a 4-foot fence around a play area for infants, that we would support the appeal for a variance for a 4-foot fence, but not for anything higher than that. Goodwill has agreed to that. It meets their program requirements. And I'll let the representatives of Better Waverly Community Organization speak for themselves, but the Neighborhood Association has a letter to you that indicates what I've said. And I have a letter also that says the same thing, and I'll hand it in for the record. If you don't mind.
Sure.
Maybe, Mr. Tanner, you can, one for you and one for the board. That's my story. There are a couple of other issues that are not within the board's jurisdiction that the neighbors would like to mention. But as far as your jurisdiction, we ask that you do grant a variance of 6 inches so that the Waverly Family Center can have its 4 feet program requirement.
Mr. Tanner, let me ask you a question. Is this here on a variance or conditional use?
Oh, I'm
It's the
sorry.
variance.
Oh, it's a okay.
The height of the fence is the issue.
Okay, okay. Mr. Black, did you want to, it's your appeal. I mean, did you want to?
Well, maybe Goodwill should, if Goodwill would put on the record its agreement, I just said a lot of words. Could you confirm it?
Yes, we're asking the zoning committee to give us this variance to fulfill federal regulations for a start program to enclose the area with fence over our infant playground.
Okay. And Councilman, if some of the neighbors have some comment on our fence, if not, we would ask that they keep their comments very, very brief.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Hi, my name is Deborah Evans, a resident of Better Waverly and the board. One of the things that we'd like to ask, because that 6-foot fence now will change, that perhaps we don't want them to cut it off and just put a top on it, and then it looks worse than what it looks at 6 foot. We don't want the height, but at the same time, we want the fence to be able to look as professional as it is now, that we have to accept. It's not what we actually want, but we accept that. So we want, for the record, that that fence is, when it's cut off, or if they're not going to put a new one up, that it looks as nice as a new fence.
Well, that's beyond what we can
I know.
order.
I'm just putting it on there for the record,
Okay.
so it can be.
Required to get a permit, so it would have to meet code standards for the fence.
Okay.
You know, rough at the top.
Oh,
Okay. All right, thank you.
We also would just like to say that I'm sorry, my name is Robin Bingham. I live 2 doors down from this fence. And I'm kind of wondering whether if we hadn't said something, this would have just stood as a 6-foot fence. We did have a community meeting with the Goodwill Industries. We had a Better Waverly Community Organization meeting where they came. And at both meetings, Mary Clark said you need to change this to a 4-foot fence. And then we saw that this was, there was a variance request for a 6-foot fence, which is why we are here to begin with. And I'm just hoping that, I just am kind of curious as to whether the zoning board would have approved the 6-foot fence just because, or if we really would have had to keep on coming.
well, I can't tell you what we would have done in a case.
Okay, I mean, because Mary Pat Clark had said that the zone allows for a 6-inch variance, but that's a 2-foot variance.
But we're not
Well-
going to opine on matters that are not before us, and that's not before us at that point, as this point, as I understand. We're only here for a 6-inch variance at this point.
We are here supporting a 6-inch
Six-inch variance.
variance to bring it to 4 feet. And we have the agreement of the owners of the property and the managers of the property that that is what they will do. And we ask this board to please help us in that regard, but certainly don't take it any higher.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does planning have anything?
Martin French
Oh,
from
my
Belton
God.
City Planning Department. Planning Department has no comment on this appeal.
Anything else from the appellant? Okay, well, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
All right, next on our docket are cases for which our board has sufficient, we've received sufficient information to process and approve your appeal. I'm going to call a number of cases. I'll ask you to come up and line up to my left as the numbers are called. First case is 2015-7404 South Castle Street, Michael Costner. Next is 2015-8 1609 St. Paul Street, Herbert Burgunder. Next is 2015-10 3516 North Calvert Street, Craig Stewart. Next is 2015-12 6 North Broadway, Eric Dashner. 2015-17 2118 St. Paul Street, Herbert Burgunder, who's already standing here. 2015-18 1700 to 14 Greenmount Avenue, 1702 to 20 Brentwood Avenue, 1701 to 23 Brentwood Avenue, 1709 to 27 Barclay Street, 435 to 30 East Lafayette Street, City Arts 2 LP. (2015-20) 1939 West Pratt Street, 25-21 1731 Llewellyn Avenue, Gregory Heller. 2015-24 525 South Bentelow Street, Tyrone Hart, 2015-26 6203 Green Meadow Way, Bruce Doak. And 2015-29 922 South Clinton Street, Clifford Addison. Let me get everybody sworn in. Great. First case, 2015-7 404 South Castle Street, Michael Costner. State your name for the record, please.
Michael Koster.
And this is to construct a 2-story rear addition with first floor rear rooftop deck and second floor rooftop deck.
Correct.
Anything from planning?
Planning Department has no comment on this application.
Mr. Costner, we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you.
Thank you.
2015-8 1609 St. Paul Street, Herbert Burgunder.
Herbert Burgunder here on behalf of 1609 St. Paul LLC, which is the limited liability company that is the contract purchaser for this property.
Great. To use premises to house 4 dwelling units.
That is correct.
Any comments from planning?
Planning Department has no objection to this application. Thank you.
Mr. Burgunder, we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Why don't you just stand there for a minute and we'll do...
Sure. There was some question about the parking, so if we could, no question about the parking.
No,
You're
no.
okay with it? We're okay with it then? Okay.
We received your site plan.
Yes.
This is parking.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, while you're here, 2015-17 21 18 St. Paul Street, Herbert Burgunder, you've already stated your name for the record. To use the premises to house 4 dwelling units with 2 off-street parking spaces in the rear yard.
Correct.
Any comments from planning?
Planning Department has no objection to this application. Thank you.
Zoning Board has sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you.
Thank you.
2015-10 3516 North Calvert Street, Craig Stewart. Are you Mr. Stewart?
I am.
Great, thank you. This is to construct a 1-story rear addition?
Correct.
Correct. Does planning have any comments?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Mr. Stewart, the zoning board has sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you. 2015-12, 6 North Broadway, Eric Dashner. And this is to use the premises to house 3 dwelling units and an office with 4 off-street parking spaces.
Correct. I mean, the structure, all the offices and apartments already exist. It's just been recorded in the zoning. And so at the request of the owner of the building, I just want to get it zoned properly so we could insure and sell the building as it actually is.
Okay. Any comments from planning?
Yes, thank you. The property is located in the Washington Hill Historic District, which is a locally designated historic district. Therefore, the department recommends approval, if granted, be subject to the condition that the applicant obtains a notice to proceed from the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation for all exterior changes to the property that may be required for the proposed conversion and use of the premises. Thank you.
Are those conditions acceptable to you?
They are. We're not making any alterations to the exterior.
That's fine. With that, the zoning board has sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
2015-17, 2118 St. Paul Street. Oh, we just did that, sorry. 2015-18, 1714 Green Mountain Avenue, 1702 to 20 Brentwood, 1701 to 23 Brentwood, 1709 to 27 Barclay, 435 to 30 East Lafayette Street, City Lights 2 LLP.
Yes, Ryan Potter and Charlie Duff on behalf of the applicant.
Great, thank you. And this is to consolidate lots and portions of adjoining streets and alleys, subdivide into 7 lots, construct a 4-story detached multifamily dwelling, 60 dwelling units, to construct 5 3-story attached single-family dwellings, and a public park.
That is correct.
Any comments from planning?
Yes, thank you. The department notes that the proposed development was approved by the Site Plan Review Committee on November 24th of 2014. They are working with the Urban Design and Architectural Review Panel on the final design for the buildings. Therefore, the department recommends approval of this appeal, subject to the condition that the site is developed in accordance with the site plan and architectural plans approved by the department. Thank you.
Great. With that, zoning board has sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you. 1939 West Pratt Street, Adam Carballo. Great, thank you. And this is to construct a 1-story warehouse with 3 loading bays, is that correct? Great. Anything from planning?
Planning Department has no objection to this application. Thank you.
Mr. Carballo, we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you. 2015 to 21, 1731 Llewellyn Avenue. Mr. Heller, you're not Mr. Heller?
I'm Susan Williams, representing Mr. Heller, as well as a representative from the Food Cabinet Architecture.
Great, thank you. And this is to construct a food incubator with accessory offices, classroom spaces, 2 kitchens, community center, and storage and signage. Anything from planning?
Planning Department recommends approval of this application. Thank you.
We have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you very much for coming. 2015 to 24, 525 South Bentelow Street.
I waive the change from Mr. Clark.
Thank you. And this is to use first floor as a barber shop. Anything from planning?
Department has no objection to this application, provided the applicant has demonstrated to the board that non-conforming use of the property has not been discontinued or abandoned. Thank you.
We have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you, Mr. Chase. Thank you. 2015-26, 6203 Green Meadow Way.
My name is Bruce Duke, I represent the Cats.
Great. And this is to construct a 2-story side addition? Great. Anything from planning?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Mr. Doak, we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
And 2015-29, 922 South Clinton Street. And this is to construct a 2-story rear addition with rooftop deck. Anything from planning?
Planning Department has no comment on this application.
Mr. Addison, we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you. Next case is 2015-01, 1727 William Street, Julius West.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Board.
Good afternoon.
Julius West on behalf of...
Now, hold on a second. Let's get you sworn in.
You solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay.
Julius West on behalf of Westland Management Group and Construction and the Realty Company partnership with this lot. We built this property. The property is completed. All inspections have been completed as of to date. We had a complaint sent into Mr. Braverman's office about the height of the building and asked us to go out with our engineers to evaluate the height of the building. The height of the building does exceed in the front only the 35-foot requirement on the plan. It is actually at 36.5. We're asking for a variance to amend the permit to accommodate that height. We also went and had a meeting with the neighborhood people, the neighbor on the right side and left side, 2 blocks away on northeast, south and west of the property, plus the rear, and gathered 31 signatures supporting the project with I have in hand as of today. I dropped off to the zoning board yesterday in support. We didn't realize we kept our floor heights the same as we were going up through the project. In the back, we raised the footer up because the lot was rat infested. All that was a lot that sat in the middle of a property. You have headquarters for school, the blind, and elementary school here. The back of the property was causing water to both the neighbor on the left and the right. So we raised up to help out the alley and the property still left, not realizing until the complaint came in and we were 98% done that we exceeded the height in the front.
Thank you. Is there any staff reports?
Just the letters that the applicant submitted today.
Okay.
And
Yes, sir.
height measured from the top of the parapet?
Yes, we did it with our engineers. The letter states here that the means of the level of the height has been calculated to be 36.5 from the street wall and configured at the parapet, which is used to screen in the mechanical equipment directly behind and exempt from the height of determination, and that the shed that you go out on top of the deck is noted that the access stair enclosure exempt from the height determination because it's less than 25% of the 17% constructed.
And the roof itself, not counting the parapet, is that 35 feet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Next case, 2015-9, 2000 Calvert Street.
I'm Joseph Gonzalez.
How are you? We'll get you sworn in a second.
Okay.
You solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Gonzalez, this is an appeal to use the premises to house 4 dwelling units and 1 efficiency unit, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Do we have any staff reports?
Yes, first we have a letter from the resident at 2513 Guilford Avenue. They write, as a neighborhood resident, I am writing to oppose the request to make the building into 5 units. The building does not have sufficient off-street parking to accommodate such a plan. The building is located in an already parking jammed area with the Dallas Nicholas Elementary School to the direct east and the Board of Education headquarters directly southeast of it. I have attached a photograph of a small red car parked in back of the building. As you can see, the car takes up the entire area of a very small backyard. It would be impossible to have both sufficient trash cans or a dumpster and parking for even one car that wasn't encroaching into the street and alley. Additionally, The plan submitted is not in keeping with the plan for the 2000 block of North Calvert Street for renovation of a once beautiful yet presently vacant houses into single-family homes by Telesis in Phase 3. There was an attempt by the Greater Charles Land Use Council to meet with Mr. Gonzalez on February 3rd. However, Mr. Gonzalez failed to appear for the meeting. This is the aforementioned photograph. Okay. I have a letter from another resident at 2422 Guilford. In addition, they write, the size of the lot, 1,280 square feet, is only half of the amount required for the requested units. And the requested variance is extraordinarily large. The block has seen a good deal of development for the past couple years. Less than a year ago, a single-family home on this block sold for $284,000. I can't see the need for extraordinary zoning allowances in this location, driven by financial desperation. And we have planning's report.
Thank you. The Planning Department has no objection to this application. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, one of the issues that we're faced with here is it was alluded to in one of the comments, is that your lot has 1,280 square feet. A minimum lot area for what you're requesting is 2,300 square feet. This board has the authority to grant a variance up to 25% of the applicable area, but what you're asking for is 44%, and I don't think, unless you can convince us otherwise, we have the authority to do what you're asking.
Unfortunately, the backyard is only large enough to accommodate maybe one car. So it's, I would not be able to accommodate off-street parking for this project.
Well, I'm not even talking about the off-street parking, I'm talking about just the lot size itself.
The lot size, yes. Okay.
For
I understand.
For the use that you want.
Right.
If anything else you'd like to add, please feel free, but that's the issue as we see it.
Okay, the only thing was if right across the street, it's zoned OR4, which would permit 4 units. So it's not like I'm really going to some extreme to make use of this property to provide 4 dwelling units.
Okay.
So it's 1 block north of North Street. So if you could make that consideration before you make your decision.
Okay, well, we'll take it under consideration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
(2015-11) 1407 Olive Street. How are you?
I do.
You state your name, please.
Todd Sporn, representing VMJ Construction.
Mr. Sporn, this is to construct a 2-story rear addition and a new 3rd floor with 3 rear porches, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any staff reports, please?
I have nothing.
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Mr. Sporn, tell us a little about what you want to do here.
We are taking the roof line off as it is now and going up 1 more level, as well as coming off of the back of the property, 3 foot 11 inches for actual enclosed structure and 5 foot 1 inch to have some porches off of the back of it. It doesn't impact any parking because there's no access to the back of the property at all. It's a walk-through alley. You can't even get a car back there, and you have to park on the side streets to even park in that neighborhood, off of that block. So the impact, as far as parking goes, there is none. 1405, they've expanded their property in the same manner. 1419 and 1425 also did, and they're higher than what we're proposing. I believe the total height of ours is 30 feet and some change, maybe 31 feet, where they're 34 and 35 feet. So it's not, I believe it's not outside the height requirement as well. The lot occupancy, I believe it is, but as I said before, those three properties, even the next door neighbor has a deck that goes out to the back of the property to the fence line, as well as 19 and 25 also.
Okay. Any questions from anybody? No. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
2015-14, 3400 West Belvedere Avenue.
East Long Mead Law Firm was the penalties of perjury. Testimony given be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Can you state your names, please?
My name is Michael German. I'm the owner of the building.
Okay.
My name is Khalid Kokar. I'm the leasee of the building.
Okay. And this is to use lower level as a grocery store, is
Yes.
that correct? Okay. Do we have some staff reports?
We have one report from planning.
Planning Department noted that this is a non-conforming use of this property. The department has no objection to this appeal if the applicant demonstrates to the board that non-conforming use of the property has not been discontinued or abandoned. Thank you.
Okay. So tell us what you want to do.
We're gonna just make, is this coffee shop and snack shop, that's it. Nothing food, nothing like
Um,
No hot food, no grill.
Yeah, no hot food and stuff,
okay.
not like a restaurant.
Are you talking about a carryout?
Yes, inside is a grocery store and is a food, just prepared sandwiches, cold sandwiches and stuff. But main thing is a grocery, snack shop and coffee shop.
Okay. What is in the building now?
It's empty. You can,
Right now, I use it as a storage. Downstairs, it's always been a store. I've owned it for over 10 years. It was a store when I bought it, which is why I bought it. And the records will reflect that a few years ago, we also had an approval for someone doing the exact same thing. He's actually worked with a store across the street, which is on his application at 3501. Obviously, I know the gentleman because I'm in the neighborhood. The owner of that building is changing the purpose of it. So of course, he came right over to me. And I've got no objection because I've had other people do this. Just so when he says hot, I understand the rules of no grill top, none of that. I just, in your corner stores. That's what he's doing now, and that's why he's coming over to me. And that's what I've had in the past. That's got approved.
When was it last occupied as a store? Or as a retail?
2008 December.
December 2008 is what he has
Yeah.
on there.
That's the last time this was occupied?
Yeah, I had a family down there doing the same thing. After a couple of years, that sort of flaked out. It's been vacant down there for a couple of years now. Again, I just use it for storage and junk.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I use it for.
In December of 2008, the board approved the basement as a grocery store, and that was approved on the consent docket at that time.
Okay.
There were certain rules they were not allowed to do, hot
Right.
and stuff like that. And I understand that. And he's just doing the same thing, cold cuts, sodas, candy bars. No difference.
And I want to bring another attention, there is no store 3 to 4 blocks, nowhere. And actually, this is, I have another proof, 3501, if you would like to see. I was, we were doing a business there, but the owner planned to change something.
That's a different store. It's across the street.
That's right, directly. I mean, we're both on the same corner.
And landlord he shut down that place, he's going to do something else. We had a different kind of lease, and I'm in that neighborhood 6 to 7 months.
include this in the record?
No, yeah, just record, you can keep it.
Thank you.
But I'm not gonna be there anymore in that part.
Could you, try to get a better understanding, so the zoning administrator's records reflect that in December of '08, the property was approved for the grocery store, and I think I heard you say the person operated there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Can you give us a better idea of roughly when that operation ceased?
Maybe a couple years after that, 10 or 11. No precise date. Just wasn't working out. They weren't very well organized, and they couldn't keep up, so it just fluttered away. And I can't exactly recall when, but I've had it as a storage unit for 3-4 years, Like to make some money out of a dead space.
We can all understand that. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I've got no objection to it. He's not doing anything different than the prior person that was approved. And they're shutting the one down right across the street, so there is a need. He does have clientele. Fully support him.
Anything, questions from the board? Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Do we have, David, I'm looking for a data sheet for 2015-15. I don't seem to have
I
one.
don't believe it's there because we had indication from the applicant that they were going to be postponing.
Okay.
I don't think they're here.
And we'll call the case. 2015-15, 901 to 09 West Austin Street. Angela Johnson. We'll mark it down as a no-show. 2015-16, 1001 North Bentelow Street. You state your name, please.
Jonathan Roundtree.
And Mr. Roundtree, this is to continue to house 4 dwelling units?
Yes.
Any staff reports?
Yes, first we have a letter from the Constance Flowers, the president of the Carlton Ridge Community Association. She writes that a man, I assume Mr. Hart, called me about this, and I told him he would have to address the community at our meeting. Due to holidays in January and February, we did not have a meeting. I told him the next meeting would not be until March 16th, that he would have to attend to see if the community approves.
Excuse me.
No, no, hold on a second.
Wrong one. Why does this have, we're on 16, right? Okay. Yeah, I understand. Then I have no report.
Does planning have a report?
We had the other Bentlow mixed up with.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. The Planning Department notes that this property is in an R6 zoning district where a multiple family attached dwelling unit is not a permitted use. Therefore, this is in fact an issue of continuing a non-conforming use. The department also noted there was a record from the Zoning Administration Office when they denied this application that there had been a condemnation notice issued against the property in March of 2014. The department therefore states that it has no objection to this appeal if the applicant demonstrates to the board that non-conforming use of the property has not been discontinued or abandoned. Thank you.
Now,
This was approved by the board in March of 2003 to use the premises for 4 dwelling units. I suspect that the issue is that the building went vacant, and so they wouldn't authorize the new request at this time.
So tell us what you want to do, and tell us a little bit about the history of the building in terms of occupancy.
Yeah, what happened, the building was being renovated. I paid a construction company about $50,000 in renovating the property. And he did half of the renovation and disappeared.
When was that?
This was back in, I think 2004 or 5, I think it was. And to be honest with you, that wiped me out. I mean, totally wiped me out. I went into a state of, I mean, it wiped me out, that's all I can say. So what I decided to do was, I'm going to finally sell the building. That was supposed to be my retirement building. I'm self-employed, so that was my IRA. And I'm going to sell the building, but the guy that was going to buy the building, he came in and saw where it had went back to one single-family dwelling. So in order to sell the building, I had to get it back to the 4-unit dwelling. But I do have a buyer for the building. Matter of fact, I have 2 buyers for the building.
How big is this building?
No, the square footage. I was looking at the square footage he had on this thing was 3610 by 80.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's currently set up for 4 dwelling units?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it hasn't been occupied since, I guess, the time that you were going to do the renovation?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hasn't been occupied at all, the building's just been vacant.
It's, since I started the renovation, it's been vacant.
In your opinion, is there any other economic use for a building this size in that community, other than a 4-apartment building?
No.
Any questions? No. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Pass this back. Next case, 2015-19, 2 South Elamont Street. Hi, how are you? Come on up.
Do solemnly swear or affirm by this testimony to perjury that the testimony given to the motion is nothing but the truth so help God? I do.
Great. Can you state your name, please?
Katanya Davis.
Great, thank you. And Ms. Davis, you want to use the lower level portion known as 3049 West Baltimore Street as a beauty salon and convenience store?
Yes.
Great. Do we have any staff reports?
Yes, we have a short note by Mr. James Lee, who was here earlier. He could not stay for the duration of the meeting. He represents the Carrollton Community Association. They indicated that there's been no contact between the applicant and the association, and they are requesting a postponement. And then we have planning's report.
Thank you. Planning Department reviewed this application, noted that this is also a question of a nonconforming use in an R6 zoning district, and has no objection to this appeal. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Davis, why don't you tell us a little bit about your project and tell us what is currently going on there?
Currently, I salon. I've been operating since 2009, and it is non-conforming use. And what I'm trying to do is just go from salon to a grocery, which is non-conforming use. And the building, there's already a existing wall there which separates in two exterior storefront entrances. But one of them just has not been used because I was just using one portion of the property. But before I opened the salon, it was a doctor's office and a barber shop operating at the same time, using both of those entrances. So the only thing that I'm trying to do is just reuse the same space that was used before for two different purposes. It is a declining neighborhood, so I'm just trying to survive in a really racy area. I've put my entire life savings into renovations for the property, exterior and interior. It's a dump site directly behind. It's a severe rodent problem in the area, so I put the new fencing, certain type of mesh wiring to prevent the rodents. So I've done a lot of things just to try to survive in a changing area. Spent a lot of money on sanitation. So I just want to be able to survive with my property and provide a service as well as a grocery, which is an alternative to a liquor store. There's nothing else there. So the children go in the liquor store purchasing candy and sodas and things of that nature, and right where liquor and alcoholic beverages and everything is sold and advertised, big signs. So it's just to be a small neighborhood grocery store, maintain the same sanitation and cleanliness that I would, grew up in the area, live in the area, so I take pride in it. And it's very important to me because it's my life's work. It's something that I've done, for my whole life. I put everything I have into this business, so it's important to me that it survives. I did contact the president of this community association, Ms. Patricia, and I have an extensive letter that I sent to her. She has not responded to me. I did speak with her briefly, and she said she was getting ready to go in a meeting. She didn't have time to talk, and she sent a gentleman just to tell me that she wanted to talk to me before she would agree to it. So I spoke with her on the telephone and explained to her in depth exactly what I was trying to do, who I was, what I stood for, and I tried to speak to her as quickly and candidly as possible, but she just refused to, to continue the conversation. She stated that she wanted to meet with me, So I said, well, are there any concerns? She said, no, it's just that we didn't get the chance to talk to you. So I said, well, I put a sign up. The sign has been up since the beginning of February. There's a big sign. So if, if there was any objection, you could have at least contacted me. I had no idea. Or at least called me back or responded to my message. And they didn't. But I do have it in my telephone if you need to see that for evidence that I did speak to these people.
Okay, you're operating a beauty salon there currently?
Yes.
Okay, and you have all necessary license and permits to operate
Yes.
that? Okay, and it's been in continuous operation?
Yes. Yes.
Any questions from the board?
Just so I'm clear, and so going forward, you're gonna continue to operate the salon and you're trying to add the grocery component to it?
Yes, it's what I have a site plan that I submitted. I don't know if you guys got a copy, but I do have a copy. And if you wanted to see it, it can kind of explain to you a little better exactly what I'm explaining to you verbally. But you do? Okay, great. All right, it's on the last page, and it just shows both entrances. Do you have a copy?
I don't know if the board members have it.
You don't? Okay. Can I pass this around?
Sure.
Okay. It just has both entrances. It has the partition wall that's in the exterior, both exits, and then it shows where there's a bulletproof partition and an entrance for that. There's all emergency exit signing at every door. There's fire extinguishers. So everything is up to code. And basically what I'm just doing is going from one non-conforming use to another non-conforming use in the entire building, instead of just using one half of the building.
And they're gonna be completely separate?
They're completely separate. They have two separate storefront entrances and two separate rear exits. And then the grocery has a bulletproof exit glass, and that's on that drawing. I don't know why I didn't say
In 2004, when you came to the board for the beauty salon, you also included the seasonal sales of Snowball. Is that still occurring?
No, what I had was when I first started, there was a Snowball building, like a little,
Like outside?
small building attached. So when I originally asked for my permit, I included that because it was an existing structure that was there.
Is that gone now?
Yeah, it's gone. But it was a part of the previous, it was a barber shop and a doctor's office. And the barber shop had that attached to the rear of the property. So when I was gonna try to continue it with the, it didn't go. So it's just gonna be so.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
Just quickly, I understand that you had submitted a letter to the Community Association president.
Yes.
And from the letter was read, I guess over the holidays, they haven't had a meeting.
I'm not sure what their situation is. I contacted them by phone and in writing, and I have it clearly posted on the property since the beginning of the month so that they could have at least contacted me in writing. And no one has reached out to me at all. I contacted both gentlemen from the zoning and planning. I met extensively with them and went to his office and met with him just to see if there was any objections, if anyone had contact, so I could kind of get on it and be proactive, and I hadn't received any information like that. So I was really surprised when he showed up today because they haven't contacted me and they haven't responded to me. So I'm not sure what their situation is. I don't know, but I spoke to her on the telephone and, was very candid with her. I asked her, was there any objections? What is the situation? She said, no, there's no objections. It's kind of, just real vague and you're just supposed to meet with us first. But if I've contacted you by writing and by phone and you don't call me back, I don't know what else I could do.
And she didn't make you aware of the next scheduled association meeting?
No, she hasn't, and she has not responded to any of my letters. So I don't know what, she just said it's just customary that we meet with everyone. So I'm just I try to talk to, maybe we could do a quick meeting over the phone and then continue at a later date. But she said she was going in a meeting and she just couldn't talk now, so.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next is 2015-23, 905 East 43rd Street.
Is it 905 East 43rd Street?
905 East 43rd.
So we do have opposition. Councilman? Consider everybody sworn in.
You solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you give be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Okay, should you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Obin Robinson.
Okay, Ms. Robinson, this is to use the first floor as a grocery store with carryout.
Yes, sir.
That's correct. Do we have any staff reports?
Yes. First, we have a letter from a resident, Miss Donna Chalmers. She writes, please do not allow the opening of this corner carryout. As a resident of the 43rd Street, I feel that this business would attract crime and drugs to the community. My neighbor, Mr. Collins, owns 2 houses on this residential street, and we would like to keep it residential. We do not need loitering and trash in our community. We request that this application be denied and that the applicant request to open a corner carryout in their own community. We have a letter from the Wilson Park Northern Neighborhood Association. They write, "This property is located in the center of a residential area with single-family homes, apartments, complexes, a protected green space, and an elementary school. It is a mixed-income area that does not need the stresses that this type of business establishment can bring: vagrants, drug dealers. Such an establishment described in the application would be detrimental to the neighborhood, in particularly the predatory check cashing and trash proliferating carryout business aspect." We have a letter from Walter P. Carter. It's an elementary school, the principal. "The wonderful Walter P. Carter is a Title I school located right across the street from this building, and a significant portion of our student body and parents walk by this location daily to come and go from the school building. We're concerned that some of the proposed uses are harmful to a school and a residential environment, especially the check cashing and carryout components. Walter P. Carter strives to nurture leadership and excellence in every scholar by teaching our students fiscal responsibility, life skills, healthy eating, lifestyle habits, and civic engagement with the help of various after-school partners. What a shame to have such a predatory business and tempting business so close." And we have planning's report.
Thank you. Planning Department noted that this is a property located in an R5 zoning district, and therefore the commercial portion of this proposal is a non-conforming use. The application reviewed by planning referred to a grocery store, which the board could authorize as a change of non-conforming use from the use of a delicatessen that was approved by the board in 2007. For the record, the department would note that the check cashing operation and the carry-out food shop operation would be uses which the board could not approve as part of a change of non-conforming use because they do not appear in the B1 list as permitted uses. They appear in the B2 list. The department, therefore, has no objection to the appeal if the applicant demonstrates to the board that non-conforming use of the property has not been discontinued or abandoned. Thank you.
Let me clarify one thing. Our data sheet shows that in 2007, to use first floor as a carry-out food shop in conjunction with existing grocery was disapproved. I thought I heard you say approved.
It was approved for a delicatessen in 2007. Carry-out food shop, I believe, was disapproved.
Okay. Okay. All right, Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you want to do. I'd appreciate if you could address the comments from the planning department.
Yes. Well, I grew up in the neighborhood. I was I lived up the street of 4722 Alhambra. I also went to Walter P. Carter, and at the time when I was going to school there was a grocery store right across the street that I used to go to all the time, especially when I used to go to the recreation center. Right now in that neighborhood, my grandmother, my aunts, and a lot of my family members, they still live in that area. And the only place for them to go to get a milk or something, any type of small item, is all the way up on York Road or to the main grocery store all the way up on Belvedere. So the closest thing there would be that small grocery store. And that's basically what I'm doing. I'm trying to reopen it back up to community. Now, when I started to investigate about this, I got nothing but good rapport. Everybody was saying, please, we need it. We're tired of walking all the way up to the top of York Road. We're tired of all these, it's just so far. So that's basically what I was doing. Now, the check cashing, I did try to add that into it, the check cashing, and that's because there's a lot of people that need their check cash and stuff like that. If that's disapproved, that's fine. I just basically want to put a grocery store back in that area to accommodate everyone that lives in that community. I still live in that community. I don't live near that community, but I'm like a mile up from that community. So I can literally walk to that area. My grandmother still lived there. My daughter stays with my grandmother. That's my babysitter. And she still lives in that area. And she was the main one that was telling me, please, if you can open it, get it open, because we do need a grocery store in that area. It was once before a grocery store, and they had deli. No hot food would be served in that place because it's not licensed for that. They don't have the ability to do so. But deli, like deli meats and stuff like that, that would be what I'm looking to do there. Tell
me about the building. Is it vacant at this point?
Right now, it's the church. The church purchased the building and turned it into a store. They didn't have the funds to continue to go in, so they kind of let it go. and just put all their extra equipment and stuff inside of it, but it was still being used by the church.
So, just so I'm clear, the church operated a grocery store there?
Yes, the church owned it, the church bought it and operated a grocery store. They got the approval back in 2007. And they was doing grocery out of there, and then they came back and I think try to do hot food, but because of the school zoning, it was disapproved. But they got approved for deli meats, you know, to do deli cold food, which would be the same thing that I'm trying to do. I'm not doing anything hot, anything like that. Now,
When did the church cease operations?
they ceased operating about a year and 3 months. They said.
Okay.
They told me they stopped serving out of there at about a year and 3 months. So that's what I was going by.
Okay. Councilman?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Actually, at this point, I think, and maybe someone on the board could correct me on this, but I think since the only testimony that's been given is that this property has not been used in a commercial fashion for over a year, my understanding of the law is that the non-conforming use has lapsed and that the board could not continue it under the current code. So
Well, we can, you're absolutely correct about the 12-month period, but I believe the board has the authority to extend that for an additional 12 months, and I'll look to Mr. Tanner to make sure I'm correct on that.
Yes, the board may extend the time.
If that's the case, then I think the neighborhood would proffer opposing testimony that it has been closed for more than a year and 3 months.
Will you make the proffer?
Well, I will be the one to say that the neighborhood's contention is that it has not been in use as a store for significantly longer than a year and 3 months, but there are individuals who live closer than I who will make that specific testimony, so I will step away.
And if we could ask everybody to be relatively brief, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Alfred Wainwright. I'm the president of Wilson Park Improvement Association. I live on Craddock Avenue. You can nearly see the structure from my home. The place has been vacant for more than 6 years. At least 6 years. It's been absolutely vacant and has not been open. The church did purchase it some years ago, but never opened for business. It hasn't been open for business in a very long time. And we've had quite a bit of problems with trash, with people dumping from other communities and so forth. And we're still working with keeping that particular area, because there's a green space right next to it, clean. We work with other universities and other communities to keep it clean. I've been in touch with the League of Disability on Cold Spring Lane, and they also posed the desired openings.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Christopher Collins, the person that one of the neighborhood resident mentioned in her report. I am at 907 East 43rd Street. This property that we are discussing for this corner store, that's 905. There was a corner store there, and it have been closed for like about 6 years. So he's saying that the church had opened it, the church never opened it, the church purchased the property, the church never put anything in there. What was inside there is what the person who bought the property from left. That's about 6 years ago. And since then, people moved back into the neighborhood. That was 905. 907 was vacant, 909 was vacant, 907, 911, 913 was vacant. There was 919 was occupied. 20, 22 was vacant. That's on the even side. I think it's 26 and 28, they was vacant. On the other side, you have the church, that's 905, 909, 9, I think is 910, something like that, that vacant. The other property is occupied, and going right up the hill, they're all vacant properties. Since the store have been closed, the whole neighborhood now all the properties there are occupied now because of the corner store that was attracting a lot of crime and a lot of unsanitary conditions. People from the area moved. The whole, the apartment complex, when I had moved there was only like about 2 or 3 vehicles on the right side. There was no vehicle on the left side. Today, people have moved back into the neighborhood. There's vehicles on both sides of not on St. George's, and we on 45th Street. So with corner store, it only had about, maybe the city might have collected about maybe $1,500 from that property there, because everybody else was gone. Now the city is getting over $30,000 from just that one street. The city is getting like $30,000. So for that one property to degrade or degenerate the neighborhood again, everybody in the neighborhood, we have, you know, when we come home, this is not business, this is personal. When we come home, we want to be there, we want to come and have our children and our grandchildren right there. We don't want to be sitting in the corner worrying about who's in the corner. The person there, he is coming there, he live a block or 2 blocks or whatever it is. Around the stores that he's speaking about, on 1 block away, there's a corner store there, that's on Belgium. Up on the hill, on Old York Road, there's another store. Just up to last weekend, the person who the Baltimore City cops arrested and died from up in that neighborhood. Those corner stores in those areas attract a lot of problems. And we have been trying to keep that problem away for the last 7 years. Since the store is gone, the whole neighborhood is just fine. You get report from the school don't want it. A lot of people don't want it there. We have retired police officers there. We have male people live there. We have construction people live there. Everyone live in that area, and I'm the closest state. We really when we come from work, it's for him, it's business. When he leave there, he goes home. When we leave work, we come home. And when we come home, there in the corner, he's already gone. So we don't want to be sitting there summertime, hanging out there. Next thing you know, we have to worry about who's shooting there, and we have kids and grandkids there. So, I mean, it's not about his business. I understand his business, but you have to understand it's personal to us. So that's what you have to take in consideration, and I hope you all does the same thing also.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll be really brief. My name is Nia Govan, for the record. That's G-O-V-A-N, no S. This store was purchased by the church about 7 years ago. About 6 months into that, they closed it because they didn't have the funds. There are other stores, as Mr. Collins said, in the neighborhood where people can go. And since that store has closed at that location, the apartments have turned around. Residents have moved back in the neighborhood, so it's experienced a rebounding, if you will. And because we have this school in the neighborhood, Walter P. Carter, it's a year 2 school in a 10-year plan. We're expecting a renaissance, particularly for that area of the neighborhood. So we're just really hoping that nothing would sacrifice that renaissance. Thank you.
Just in closing, I'm going to use an analogy that my previous employer in Patterson Park liked, which is that preferred to think of zoning more as a bulletproof vest than as a straitjacket. It should exist to protect the community, not keep the community from doing what the community would like to see done. And so in this case, right now, the community is not enthusiastic about the idea of another business opening up in the middle of the residential zoning, and zoning would seem to be in place to prevent that from happening. As the council person for the district, I am happy to work with the applicant to help him find a properly zoned property to open a store for the benefit of the neighbors. There is commercial property, as he said, along York Road and also along Cold Spring Lane to the east, where there is the opportunity under current zoning to provide additional grocery and potentially even carry out opportunities to the neighbors without having to try to do that in an R5 zone.
Okay. Mr. Robinson, you get the last word here.
Well, let's go back to what the gentleman said, that the neighborhood was ran down. Yes, it was. What they did was the apartments that was there, they cleaned up everyone that was there. They pretty much got rid of everyone, remodeled, fixed it up. So everything that was newly in that community that was running it down, they put them out. Has nothing to do with the store. It's just the apartments that was there. They cleaned it up. They put up new fencing, they fixed up the inside so that that area could get better. The whole, he was saying that the properties that was going up the street was all vacant and wasn't nobody living there. Everybody was moving out of that area, simply because when the apartments was there, the people that they was having there was criminals. So everyone that was in that neighborhood moved. Once that apartment complex now cleaned up what they was doing, everyone now seen that the neighborhood got better. It still had nothing to do with the store itself, because if he said that the store was closed, which it wasn't, because in 2007, they came here to get the store approved for different things. So if he's saying that, well, within that time frame, it was because of the store, well, he contradicted himself, because if you say the store was closed, then, well, why was all the crime still there? Okay, so having the store there did nothing to anyone that has that have drug or crime. The store is just a store to help out the community, to don't have to walk and go all the way up to the top of the block, all the way up to Cold Spring. The next thing is, in the back of the store, it's woods, nothing but woods. Since I started talking with the church and I took over, I started cleaning up, and I've been cleaning up since I signed up. There's a home next to me, right on the, I think it's 40. I'm at 903 or 907 going up. That's built for, I guess, an apartment, because it's a two-home home right there, where I guess they put an apartment, and I got the tree, had the owner cut the tree, and we've been cleaning up. So we have been cleaning up everything around that store, helping out. So to just say, well, we don't want a store right there, I haven't literally heard an actual cut and point say, this is reason why a store shouldn't be there. If, saying the check cash and stuff wouldn't be there, because then, a lot of people might want to come and cash their check there, that's fine. But to have an actual grocery store there, that was already there, that had, nothing to do with crime. I don't see the mix with the two.
Okay. Mr. Tanner, do we have any information about permits for the operation of this store over the last couple of years?
No, we checked the permit records in the Department of Housing, and we did note the 2007 appeal, but there's no record of any permit being issued after that appeal for the use of the property.
Okay. Very briefly, please.
It was a question, is there evidence of permits from the health department for what I would think would be the ongoing annual inspections that a grocery store would receive?
We have no record.
Any questions from the board?
Just one, Ross, do you have anything else to, I guess, contradict this? A lot of testimony that the place has been vacant for 6 years. You say 1.3 years. Do you have anything else to offer to
No, when I
contradict the
well, I didn't know
testimony?
that, because when I came in, I checked the log to see if anyone had signed in to contest the grocery store, because I could have made phone calls and got, anything extra. All I can go by is what the church, and I don't think the person at the church would give me false information. All I go by is what they told me and how long it's been closed and how long they haven't used it as a store. That's all I have. I don't have anything else to say, well, this is how long it's been closed or anything like that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes the docket for today. We're off the record.
The lights are still on.
Yeah.
It's the Henry Cats. See the
Yeah, it's
list
funny, I
moved on?
had sort of different results for those
Yeah,
two,
I
but,
just need to turn his name. Do you know if it was Fred somebody?
I looked at, I'm sorry, Jay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was looking at 16, I wrote down hardship for 16, that bill is not
Good for him.
economically viable for anything else.
Especially given where it's,
I got most of them. I
nobody's
just
gonna buy a house that size.
So that the new buyer could use it as a four-dwelling unit.
I was fine with it.
I had problems with 14 though.
Yeah, me too.
Basically, the timing of it.
Yeah, I mean, the testimony was fairly clear. It had been several years, I think, since last use.
Right. I don't remember hearing anything that made a big hardship on this one.
Me either.
No. No. And then lastly, I guess the one we just heard, 23.
Yeah, there's no premise issues, so I mean, I don't know how you say what's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I asked the last question. What else do you have? And where,
Yeah, that's that record. This time if they don't ask that, I can't get that up, but.
how about 19?
Yeah, I was okay with that based upon the testimony. I mean, there was testimony of continuity.
Do we?
Yeah, it's just a little question about the community association, but I have an issue when they don't show up.
Yeah.
Right, so, is it an issue of changing non-conforming use, or are we adding another non-conforming
No,
use?
you can go, if it's permissible in B1 or B2, you can change, and I think this was an okay change of non-conforming use.
I guess I'm a little thrown off by the change notion, because the salon is gonna continue to, that's a non-conforming use, it's gonna continue to
Marty,
operate.
that's a really good point.
And so then she's saying, okay, well, in addition to the salon,
Yeah, it's really not a change, it's
I'm gonna add another non-conforming use, which is the grocery store.
That's a really good point.
And that's really my question, do we have the authority to add another non-conforming use?
Good question.
Yeah, it's just, as far as I've seen in your past decision, it's just considered a change to an existing non-conforming use. And it's like, it's just, I've used the same elements, it has to meet the same conditional use
Okay.
standards.
Okay,
And it's just considered another change.
okay. I mean, I was
That's not
okay with it as
rigid.
long as we had the authority to do it.
Okay.
So I have a procedural question back on, 16.
Okay.
So under the, with respect to hardship, is the process the same? I mean, so is this, but this is not the same as asking for a variance?
Yeah, it's granting a variance based upon.
Based
Or
on hardship.
non-conforming use? It's the same as it's a hardship or uniqueness of the property?
Yeah.
Okay. With that, I can go.
All right, should we do a vote? You ready, David? Okay, ready?
Let me find my couch.
Can we talk about 9 real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Your thoughts on?
I was negative on it.
We just had one like this.
Right.
Yeah, so was I.
Well, do we wanna go as far as to give him an okay for 3 DUs instead of 4? If we tell him no, does that mean that he only gets to use it for 1?
Wasn't it currently approved for
Well, the
3?
board approved it for 3.
It's approved for 3.
No, it's already approved.
It's already approved for 3.
Okay.
I
Okay,
don't
I missed
know
that.
if he has a permit for 3.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's not like we're killing the economic value of it.
Okay.
Because you can still do
Okay.
3.
All right, then I'm good with it.
All right, we ready?
Yep.
2014-538, rear of 2213 to 15 East Press Street was postponed. 2015-01, 1727 William Street, I am a yes.
Yes?
Yes. Agreed.
Yes. 2015-7, 404 South Castle Street was consent. 2015-8, 1609 St. Paul Street was consent. 2015-9, 2000 North Calvert Street, I'm a no.
No?
Agreed.
2015-10, 3516 North Calvert Street was consent. 2015-11, 1407 Olive Street, I'm a yes.
Yes.
Yes, agreed.
2015-12, 6 North Broadway was consent, subject to plaintiff's conditions. 2015-13, 200 East University Parkway was postponed. 2015-14, 3400 West Belvedere Avenue, I am a no.
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 2015-15, 901 to 09 West Austin Street was a no-show. I vote to dismiss unless they call with some good reason.
Well, I think they were under the impression that she was going, that she wanted to postpone.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well, Bob talked to her, and the deal may have fallen through. She may not be back anyway. She's been negotiating with the owner of the property, and I think they've run into issues with each other. So we would grant a postponement,
All right, let's just postpone it
but she may never be back.
then. Okay. 2015-16, 1001 North Bentelow Street, I am a yes.
Yes?
Yes.
2015-17, 2118 St. Paul Street, is consent. 2015-18, Greenmount, Brentwood, Barclay, and Lafayette, was consent. 2015-19, 2 South Elamont Street, I am a yes.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes, if we couch it as a grocery store and not a convenience store.
Good.
One is allowed and one is disallowed.
Good. 2015-20, 1939 West Pratt Street was consent. 2015-21, 1731 Llewellyn was consent. 2015-23, 905 East 43rd Street, I am a no.
No.
Agreed.
No.
2015-24, 525 South Bendelow Street was consent. 2015-26, 6203 Green Meadow Way was consent. 2515-27, 829 Montpelier Street, I am a yes to a variance, approving a 6-inch variance to the height of the fence.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
2515-29, 922 South Clinton was consent.
Yes.
Thank you.